policy said a National Educational Technology Forum will be created to provide a platform for the free exchange of ideas on the use of technology to enhance learning, assessment, as well as teaching. So the NEP 2020, as I said, so NEP 2020 is altogether, we say that a very, very important policy as compared to the previous policies, which is a complete departure when it comes to the integration of technology. And for the first time, we see, like in NEP 2020, that technology is, that means how to use technology and how to integrate technology, what is to be done with technology, how that the teacher should be trained with the use of technology is spoken. Apart from, there is a major transformational change in the structure of education. So they wanted to do this, the utilization as well as integration of technology in education by creating a platform which was called as National Educational Technology Platform. And this National Education Forum will have the following functions. The policy said the NEFT, TEF, that is National Education Technology Forum, or this platform is going to have the following function. One is to provide independent evidence-based advice to central and state government agencies on technology-based interventions. So this particular forum is going to advise the central agencies as well as the state government agencies, evidence-based advice, that is on technology-based interventions. If at all, for example, I was having a radio.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry,
your slide is not showing.
Slide is not shown. 1 minute. Sima? सीमा से खाली ऑडियो विजुअल अवेलेबल है, सो ये स्लाइड दिख रहा नहीं करते हैं, हम कहते हैं के बाद बोल रही कुछ नहीं मोस्टली क्या करना था, क्या करना मैं पूरा एंटायर स्क्रीन
Yes, we can see in the screen only.
Okay.
We can see.
Sorry, I think, can you see this slide now? Which I spoke?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So, technology use integration in NEP 2020, that is National Educational Technology Forum. So this platform, that is for exchange of ideas on how to use technology, enhance learning, assessment, as well as teaching. And this particular forum or platform will have the following. One is when you are integrating technology in education, whether for teaching purpose, learning purpose, or for maybe evaluation, or so it has to have a evidence-based advice, whether it is definitely enhancing the teaching or learning or whatever it is, evaluation, or whether you are achieving the goal for which you have utilized, right? And that has to be assessed, and that means the use of technology should show the evidence that it has enhanced or we have achieved the goal for whatever purpose that we have used it. So that we say that it has to be a evidence-based advice. This evidence-based advice will be provided by this platform or forum to central government as well as state government agencies which are providing these technology-based interventions. As I was talking to you just now, that is government of Karnataka was having a radio Kelikali program for the children that at the primary level all over the state. So I was having a central government MHRD's project on this to see how far this radio Kelikali program is effective in enhancing the students' learning, and also to provide evidence-based whether it is really creating whether they are achieving the objective, whether it is really effective, whether it is really it has created a interest among the children or teachers. So that is called evidence-based presentation or advice or research. So the function of this particular forum or platform will be to provide the independent evidence-based advice. And next one, to build intellectual and institutional capacities in educational technology. So intellectual and institutional capabilities. So capacities or capabilities in the sense like what type of hardwares and software they should house, and building intellectual capabilities, that is enhancing the teacher competencies, or maybe advice in the utilization of, or maybe promoting the teachers, or maybe the software developers. And now there are a lot of teachers who are preparing e-content, right? And all that. So building that intellectual capability as well as institutional capability, that is in the use of educational technology, or maybe for the delivery of content, that is another important function of this particular forum. And apart from that, it has also envisioned strategic thrust areas in this domain. That means what areas should be taken up, and what type of technologies for what subjects in which areas that it need to be used, and articulate new directions for research and innovations. Like if at all, if you want to provide evidence-based advice, so without doing research, until and unless you conduct research and you find out the effectiveness of any use of technology, until unless you find out whether it is useful for students or teachers or whoever who is using it, whether it is benefiting them, and in order to know that, in order to get that evidence, you cannot do it without conducting the research. So for that purpose, the research and innovation, in order to conduct research and innovation, so through the research and innovation, new directions can be provided. In case if it is not working effectively, you will find out why it is not effectively, and what are the lapses, what is that need to be done, how effectively it can be utilized, whether the combination of technology to be changed, whether the software we are using, whether that need to be modified, changed, whether the content or curriculum pedagogy used need to be modified. So that is possible only through research and innovation. So this forum would also provide new direction for conducting research and innovation. And the thrust of educational interventions will be for, and now when we say the educational interventions, for these educational interventions will be used, or for where that you are going to integrate technology in education. One, for improving teaching and learning and evaluation process, that is for enhancing the capability of the teachers, that is for improving teaching, and also learning, that is enhancing the capabilities or capacities of the learner, that is in utilizing the resources, different resources available for them, that is in learning, and for evaluation purpose, that is for feedback evaluation. And nowadays, with the availability of these computer assessments and all that, evaluation is done within no time. And next one, for supporting teacher preparation and professional development. And it is also the technological interventions can be used for teacher training. That is teacher training in the sense, now you are FDP and all these things are happening. And maybe it is a professional development. For professional development, for getting the new ideas, for exchange of ideas, for dissemination of ideas, in in preparing the teachers, these technological interventions are very, very essential. So this technology forum should also be doing on that. And enhancing educational access. And also for enhancing educational access. As I said that equity is very, very important. You need to see that you need to provide access to the people who are in remote areas, and provide access to people who are in far off places. And apart from that, streamlining educational planning, management, administration, including process related to admissions, attendance, assessment, etc. And now, in order to bring transparency in educational system, whether it is the planning, or now NEP has spoken about even financial disclosure, students admission also, students attendance also, student assessment also, and for the purpose of administration and management. Here, purpose of management, assessment and administration, it can be for student enrollment, number of teachers, students' portfolios, maybe teacher salaries, and maybe the other, whatever we say, the policies of the institutions, right? And maybe the progress of the institution, results of the institutions, the programs of the institutions, everything you can probably have it, and you can just portray it with the use of educational technologies available to us. And apart from that, a rich variety of educational softwares for all the above purposes. That is, whether for conducting research, for administration, for maintaining the school records, for that is management purpose, for teaching, for learning, for assessment or evaluation. For all these, we need to develop a rich variety of educational software. And that developing of software, whether for teaching, learning, administration, management, or for evaluation, that all will be developed and that will be made available to students and teachers at all levels, whether it is at a school level, college level, or university level. So that would be another important function of this forum, in order to develop the educational softwares with the use of experts in the field, and that would be made available. And all such softwares will be available in all major Indian languages and will be accessible to wide range of users, including students in remote areas and Divyang students. And the policy also said that the softwares will be made and it will be made available not just merely in English, which usually happens, in all the major Indian languages. So whatever the recognized major Indian languages are there, in all those languages, they want to make these softwares available and to be available, accessible to all range of users. So irrespective of background, geographical, linguistic, or maybe the status, accessibility should be there for all students, those even living in the remote areas, including the students, Divyang, that means visually challenged students. That means students who are what we call it either partially or fully blind or visually challenged students. Even for them, they want these softwares to be available in the manner in which is useful for the Divyang students or visually challenged students. And the policy has also formulated at a time when unquestionably disruptive technologies are available, like artificial intelligence, 3D or 7D, virtual realities have emerged. When all these types of very, very important technology, AI, like data sciences, virtual realities, when these type of technology has emerged, at this time, even this policy is being formulated at a very, very important time. So that is the reason that it has, for the first time, this particular policy of 2020 has spoken about the integration of ICT in education or educational technology. And another important, one of the very important permanent task of the National Educational Technology Forum or platform will be to categorize emergent technologies based on their potential and estimated time frame for disruption, and to periodically present this analysis to MHRD. Like for example, whether it is a hardware or whether it is a software, they all need to be updated. So we need to use those technologies which are emergent and which are useful at that particular time frame. So sometimes after a period of time, certain technologies will become obsolete, both hardware type as well as the software type. Like for some time, the use of radio was not at all there until and unless again we reviewed the use of FM radio and all such things. And now radios are being again used. So within that estimated time frame, certain technologies need to be discarded, certain softwares may become obsolete, and new technologies, both hardware and software, need to be used periodically. And all these analysis periodically, that NETF need to present it to the MHRD, that is Ministry of Human Resource Development. And based on these inputs, that is whatever the inputs that these forum gives, MHRD will formally identify those technologies whose emergence demands responses from the education system. Based on this, the MHRD will direct the educational institutions to identify and to use those emergent technologies in order to, that is based on the need of the system. Somebody's microphone is on. Please, would you switch it off? And next, for school education, teaching learning e-content will be continued to be developed by all states in all regional languages, as well as by NCERT, CIET, CBSC, and NIAS. That is NCERT, you all know, which provides the school textbooks also. That is CIET, that is the Center for Central Institute of Educational Technology, and CBSC, you know, NIAS, National Institute of Open Schooling, and other bodies and institutions, and it will be uploaded to the Diksha platform. And this on this Diksha platform, all the teaching and all the teaching, excuse me, somebody's microphone is on. Would you please put it off? Okay. And all the materials will be re-content at school level, would also be developed in regional languages by these agencies, and that would be uploaded to the Diksha platform that will be available to all teachers. And again, CIET will be strengthened to promote and expand Diksha as well as other educational technology initiatives. So the Central Institute of Educational Technology will be further strengthened, maybe in terms of physical resources, human resources, or financial resources, so that they can expand this Diksha as well as educational technology initiative. Excuse me, somebody's microphone is on. Would you please put it off?
Hello, Santosh Kumar.
Please put it off your microphone. And in order to see that these educational institutions make use of all these technologies, that is whether it is a hardware or a software, the National Educational Technology Forum would also see that they provide the suitable equipments available to the teachers at school, so that teachers can suitably integrate e-contents into teaching learning practices. Usually here we are speaking about public institutions, whether schools, colleges, or maybe the universities, that suitable equipments will be provided, that would be made available, and equipments and softwares to the school teachers also at the school level, so that they can make use of these equipments to integrate e-content into teaching and learning practices. And apart from that, this NEP 2020 has also spoken about online and digital education in order to ensure equitable use of technology. So the very opening preamble, what we say that the apart from the vision, it says that we want to have a equitable and a just society. So that equitable and just society is possible when each and every person has a access to education, has same fundamental right to access education, whether right from primary or pre-primary to higher education. Then only we can boost off having a just society and a equitable society. So in order to ensure that we have a just and a equitable society, the NEP 2020 has thought about online and digital education, so that it will reach out to all those people for various reasons which I spoke earlier, who cannot access maybe on campus or maybe the direct physical education, to make use of the technology. So the NEP 2020 recognizes the importance of leveraging the advantages of technology while acknowledging its potential risks and dangers. Not that the use of technology can ward off all the problems of education. It has its own risks, dangers, and challenges. So, in order to see that how we can make use of the advantages of technology, At the same time, we should also see what are its potential risks and dangers. You should see that you should accept those risks and challenges or dangers as challenges, and you should see that what of those risks and challenges, so that only the advantages of technology can be reaped. Now, that calls for a very carefully designed and appropriately scaled pilot studies to determine how the benefits of online and digital education can be reaped while addressing or mitigating the downsides. And of course, parents as well as teachers, especially at a lower level, school level and all that, they are bothered that the students may misuse this technology, technology in the sense the materials available may be web-based materials or maybe the online materials, maybe not for academic purposes. So there are so many dangers are there, risks are there, but you need to mitigate these downsides, and you also see that how you can reap the benefits of online and digital education, that is for school students to higher education student. So for that, you need to have carefully designed and appropriately scaled pilot studies to so that you can make it as far as possible like free from any such type of risk which the students may undergo. For the meantime, the existing digital platforms and ongoing ICT-based educational initiatives must be optimized and expanded to meet the current and future challenges in providing quality education to all. So already at a higher education level, we are having Shodha Ganga or various such type of initiatives already. And at school levels, there are various types of agencies who are having that is ongoing ICT based educational initiatives. So until that National Educational Technology Forum and that platform is built up, until that time the existing digital platforms, whatever is been there, they're using that ongoing ICT based uses, they should be optimized and they should be expanded to meet the current as well as future, immediate future challenges to provide the quality education for all. And apart from that, the NEP has also spoken about, as I said, maybe procuring the material is probably, though you are investing and procuring the material, that may be the easiest step. But preparing the curriculum and appropriate pedagogy is a next very important step. And apart from that, how to deliver that content and the pedagogy is very important. Otherwise, all that effort of having content, curriculum, pedagogy, and equipment is of no use until and unless the teachers who teachers know how to deliver it or how to use it. So that requires a suitable training, and that need to be developed to effective online educators. So the NEP also knows that it requires a suitable training, that is online through offline. They want to see that suitable training be provided to the teachers, and you should also see that the teachers develop those competencies or capacities or capabilities so that they can effectively provide online education and become online educators. And it also cannot be assumed that a good teacher in a traditional classroom will automatically be a good teacher in an online classroom. So a teacher may be a best teacher, an excellent teacher, maybe in a traditional classroom. So automatically he cannot become a good teacher in an online classroom until unless he knows how to use those hardware and software. So it is very important. The good teacher in a traditional classroom should also be trained in utilization of and integration of these technologies for online classrooms also. And aside from changes required in pedagogy, online assessment also requires a different approach. And teachers should be taught not only for delivery of materials, but also be given training for different approaches of assessment, that is evaluation. Online assessment approaches should also be taught to the teachers. So that is very important, not only in delivery of materials, the use of hardware and software, but also the different approaches of assessment. And also, the policy recognizes the numerous challenges which are there in conducting online examinations at scale, including limitations or types of questions that can be asked in an online environment, handling network and power disruptions, and preventing unethical practices. As it is said that the policy also recognizes there are numerous challenges when we shift to online and digital platforms, whether for conducting the online examinations that at a larger scale. And it has also limitations on the types of questions that can be asked in online environment. And most of the time, like whenever we are having online tests or anything, it is limited to only like what we call it as the objective type questions. Most of the time, the essay type of questions that can assess the students' in-depth level of understanding, or maybe the ability to analyze, the ability to apply, ability to synthesize. So that is possible, critically analyze, and all these things are possible through essay types of questions. That is possible in a traditional mode. But in an online mode, most of the time, these examinations are limited to just the objective type of questions. And also, apart from that, the handling of network. So sometimes there are places where the networks are not available, or there may be very, very poor network. Sometimes there are power disruptions. Just now I was having a power disruption while using a technology. So these power disruptions may also affect maybe like whatever the online education which is happening. And sometimes it may also probably may lead to unethical practices where there is no monitoring is there, whether there is no physical what we call it as instructors, or maybe the physical checking is there. So probably there may also be an unethical practices. So these are some of the challenges in case if you are conducting the online examinations, that too at a very, very large scale. And these limitations should also be kept in mind, and we should see that how these type of things can be, the policy recognizes these limitations, and also we should think of overcoming these types of problems or searching for an alternative. And certain types of courses, subjects such as performing arts, science practicals have limitations in the online or digital education space, which can be overcome to a partial extent with innovative measures. Like for example, it may be a performing arts or science practicals, maybe engineering practical courses or medical practical courses, or maybe certain training programs where you want to develop skills, right? Then it may become very difficult only through online or digital mode of education. So then in that case, we have to overcome to some extent with certain innovative measures, like how to overcome, not completely, but partially at least, how to do that through online or digital mode. Further, unless online education is blended with experiential and activity-based learning, it will tend to become a screen-based education with limited focus on the social, affective, and psychomotor dimensions of learning. If you are talking about only online and digital education, then it affects the social development of the learner, affective and psychomotor dimensions of learning and learning. For example, during the COVID period, children who are almost for 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 year, they never had a face-to-face learning. Children who were supposed to enroll into the schools, they enrolled online, who had never had an experience of going to a physical school or watching a teacher, maybe in a direct face-to-face classroom setup, or maybe in probably mixing or maybe interacting with their peer group, or maybe with the classroom. That hampers the social development, maybe the language building, maybe the social qualities of maybe cooperation, team building, tolerance, patience, what we call it as social cohesiveness. And apart from that, maybe developing the capability to work in teams for problem solving. And these will become limited if you are limited to a online education. Apart from the affective domain, Affective domain, probably developing a very positive or maybe developing social desirability, attitudes, maybe the moral development, the character development. See, education is not merely related to only academic achievement. Apart from that, it should also build character, moral development, critical thinking, divergent thinking, problem solving ability, that desirable attitudes. These affective domain is also very, very important, and that is not possible only if it is only online and digital mode. And psychomotor dimension. Psychomotor, that means practical skills. Only if you are watching online, maybe on digital platforms, it is not possible until and unless you practice it in a experiment or experiential and activity based learning. Experiential, with until unless you have first hand experience of maybe doing something, maybe in a real situation, or maybe through experimentation, through touch, that is experiential learning, and that skills cannot be developed, that is psychomotor development. So these type of skills will be limited in case if you are going only for online and digital mode. The NEP also recognize the limitation of only completely online and digital. So we need to have education on a blended mode, that is both face to face as well as where it can allow for experiential and activities based learning, so that we develop children's and adults social, affective and psychomotor dimension of learning, apart from the intellectual or maybe the academic aspect or knowledge development. So, given the emergence of digital technologies and emerging importance of leveraging the technology for teaching and learning at all levels, from school to higher education, the policy document also recommends the following key initiatives. That means they know that there is an emergence, that is, the technology has come. There are a lot of emergent digital technologies, and definitely it is leveraging technologies. And education or maybe teaching learning, it cannot be stay away from the use of the technology. So we have to accept technology in the field of education, all the levels, where from higher, that is from school to higher education. So that being the case, so the policy also recommends there are certain key initiatives to be taken up when we are talking about integration of technologies, especially the digital technologies, into education. One is that it has spoken about pilot studies for online education. That means even before you go for online education, we need to conduct some research. We need to do some pilot studies. You cannot do it simply without conducting any research, without any sample studies. If pilot studies are just like a sample. So we all know, even in our day-to-day life, when we go for even a purchase of probably some 4 kg, 5 kg fruit or sweet or something, we ask for a sample to check its quality. So if it is we are talking about education at a very large scale, you cannot put the future of the children at stake. So before doing that, you need to conduct pilot studies, the sample studies, so that we know what are the lapses, what are the challenges, what are the risks, what are the issues, how we can overcome, how can reduce these risks and challenges, and then appropriately we can go for these online or digital mode of education at a larger scale. So for that, the policy has also recommended pilot studies for online education. So through appropriate agencies like National Education and Technology Forum, Central Institute of Education and Technology, NIAS, National Institute of Open Schooling, IGNO, IITs, NITs, so they can be identified. Apart from that, can also be universities and colleges also. They can also do institutes of research apart from these, etc. They have said to conduct pilot studies to evaluate the benefits of integrating education with online education, to check the benefits of integrating education with online education. And apart from that, they want digital infrastructure. So what is the digital infrastructure? Need to invest in creation of open, interoperable, evolvable public digital infrastructure. मैं मीटिंग में हूँ, बात कर चुके बेटे, मीटिंग में हूँ. Need to invest in creation of open, that is we need to have public digital infrastructure in education sector to solve for India's scale, diversity, complexity, and device penetration. So we need to see the digital infrastructure, public infrastructure, where that we have a diversity. We have a lot of diversity in terms of linguistic, regional, geographical, and religion, maybe rich and poor, infrastructural, right? So many types, gender. So in order to see that these complex cities are definitely penetrated and these complexities are solved, we need to have public digital infrastructure so that the people from different these backgrounds can have access to that. Apart from that, online teaching platforms and tools. So there are online platforms already appropriate existing e-learning platforms. We have like Swayam, Diksha. They should be expanded and strengthened to provide teachers with a structured, user-friendly, and rich set of assistive technologies for monitoring the progress of the learners. And content creation, digital repository, and dissemination. And again, the NEP 2020 has spoken about creating a digital repository of content, including creation of coursework, learning games and simulations, augmented reality and virtual reality to be developed for the use of teachers and for the use of teaching and learning. And apart from that, it has also spoken about addressing the digital divide, so that the existing mass media such as television, radio, and community radio will be extensively used for 24/7 telecast and broadcast in different languages. So right now, there are so many state government initiatives wherein radio and television is used. Until and unless we widen these, until and unless we have a repository of the digital repository and provide adequate technology tools to educational institutions, whatever the existing mass media tools which are available like radio and television, so they can be used extensively for 24/7 for telecast as well as broadcast in different languages. Apart from that, they have even spoken about virtual labs. So the existing e-learning platforms to be leveraged for creating virtual labs, that is through simulation and gaming, should be made available to students. So training and incentives for teachers. Teachers will undergo rigorous training in learner-centric pedagogy and how to become high-quality online content creators themselves. So the teachers should be trained for use of this technology in the use of learner-centered pedagogy and maybe in the creation of content. Apart from that, the teacher should be given some incentive who are creating the content, who are using these type of learner-centered pedagogy, quality online content should be incentivized and should be recognized. Apart from that, there should be online assessment and examinations. So policy has also spoken about designing and implementation of online assessment frameworks encompassing the competencies, portfolios, rubrics, standard assessments, and assessment analytics. So using various not just only the multiple choice or just using only objective type, maybe different types of competencies using students' portfolios, using rubrics and standard assessment analytics can be used for assessment of students. And apart from that, the policy also speaks about blended models of learning. So different effective models of blended learning will be identified for appropriate replication for different subjects. Maybe teaching of languages, science, math, social studies, or environmental science, or maybe performing arts, or maybe paramedicals, medicals, engineering, whatever it is. Different types of subjects requires different types of treatments and maybe blended modules or models of learning, so that different effective models will be identified in an appropriate manner. Apart from that, we can also think of like when we say appropriate models of teaching, probably into engineering and medical, already they are using that. There are loop such films are available where maybe the major surgeries where the experts are conducting, where there is no such type of an intellectual property right, where there is no confidentiality or privacy, such type of leakage or breakage is there. Such type of things are what we call it as videotape, and they are made available to the students, so that there can that demonstrations can help the students in learning and revising and seeing and all that. Probably the student teachers, those who are in the field of education, the B.Ed, M.Ed and all that, these micro teaching skills, how to practice the teaching skills, different skills, whether before that is the use of the introduction, the skill of explanation, skill of questioning, skill of using a blackboard. There are so many skills are there put together. We call it as a macro lesson. So how to, that is all colleges of education give practice each skill to these practicing prospective teachers, and then integration of all these skills put together to deliver a macro lessons. And now such types of micro skills which are presented by experts, they are also videotaped and they are made available to the student teachers, so that they can see how that these expert teachers are using the each skill, so that the student teachers can get benefited, can also practice in a similar manner. So that way, even for the sake of practice, even for the sake of what we call it as some sort of skill development, some sort of videotape, some sort of such a drill and practice can be made available to the learners. So keeping all these risks, the dangers that it has got, or the limitations that the technology or the ICT is having, but still the at present currently, that every in all walks of life, including work, we are using technology. So also the technology need to be integrated in education also. So in conclusion, we can say that the NEP 2020 policy, it seeks to leverage the huge potential of online pedagogy and learning methodologies for increasing gross enrollment in higher education. As we all know that at present we are having 27 to 30% of enrollment in higher education. So the policy speaks about reaching the higher education, increasing the gross enrollment ratio in higher education at least by 50%, at least by 50%, by, if not by 2030, at least by 2040, we need to enhance the gross or increase the gross enrollment ratio in tertiary education, whereas 100% enrollment at the primary and at a secondary level. If at all, if you want to do that, to provide access to all those people who cannot attend maybe a physical campus for whatever the reason, the right, whether it is a distance or a cost or maybe affordability or maybe the other impediments, geographical, cultural, or whatever gender impediments are there. In order to overcome all that, they want to provide access to all the people. Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Now the screen is visible. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the
Yes,
screen
ma'am.
visible to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
madam.
Okay, okay. And now,
Yes.
in order to provide access, especially to higher education, we want to take education to the doors of the learners, since they cannot reach to the physical campus. We need to reach to these learners' doors, and that is possible with the help of these digital platforms and through online platforms. So this requires bridging the digital divide. If at all, if you want to reach out to the doors of the learners, if you want to provide access to all these learners, you need to bridge digital divide. See that the technology reaches, that is whether it is the availability of the internet or maybe acquiring the hardwares or the softwares, or maybe the public digital platforms where the resources are available, or free courses, like we are having the MOOC courses, right? And many of these, or most of these MOOC courses, especially provided by the central agencies, or maybe the Shodha Ganga, or all these such type of courses, they are free of cost. So in order to provide access, especially to higher education, you need to bridge the digital divide, and thus the state needs to address this striking disparities in access to digital tools for universities, right, in case of education. So when the universities, when they are providing the online courses, right, to the people, to education especially, it also should see that these digital tools are available, platforms are available for the people to access education through online mode. Since education is a concurrent subject, that is, both the center as well as the state governments can make laws on it, the reforms proposed can only be implemented collaboratively by the center as well as the state. Since education is a concurrent subject, so both the center as well as the state government should come together to see that whatever the vision that the education policy is speaking about, the integration of technology that it is speaking about, so they need to make investment, and they should come together. The central government should assist the state government, and the state government should have their share, as well as they should make an investment in education, especially when we are talking about integration of educational technology, as well as maybe what we call it as. And now, since NEP 2020 seeks to bring a holistic change in education system of India, this can lay the foundation for a multidisciplinary approach in higher education. So the whole success will depend on the way it will be implemented. So